So this is the view you get when you forget your memory cards for your GoPro at home, like an idiot. Hee. All right, enough of that. Welcome to Mercedes' vision of the electrified future. This is the 2022 Mercedes-Benz EQS. Now, this specific one is an EQS 450 Plus, which is the base model. Earlier in the week, I was spending time with the Mercedes-Benz EQS 580, which is the higher spec one, and then there's now an AMG version out as well. The reason we're not doing a video on the 580 is because I got a screw in the tire, and then Mercedes was kind enough to give me this one for the remaining 2 days of my loan to finish out my video. But it was actually kind of beneficial to get to experience both. Because they are different in terms of the power that they deliver. On the inside and the outside, they're very similar, but I will say the EQS 580 I had amazing super multi-spoke 21-inch wheels, whereas this has fairly pedestrian eco wheels, but I do like the chunky sidewall. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, let's back up, talk about the exterior, because that's probably the stickiest point of this whole thing. The EQS, which is Mercedes' first EV-only model in its lineup, even though it is related to the S-Class, it is an EV standalone model. It looks like a melted S-Class. I don't love the exterior styling of this. I like the quasi-futuristic looking grille. I like the full-length light bar that runs across it. I like the style of the taillights as well. There are certain angles where this thing looks okay, but overall it is a melted jelly bean of a vehicle. There's a reason for that though. Mercedes has achieved the current most aerodynamic production vehicle out there award. 0.2 coefficient of drag, which just beats Tesla and also the Lucid Air. It is not the most aerodynamic production car ever if you consider the very low run GM EV1 and the Volkswagen XL1, which were 0.19. But right now, this is it. This is the slippery fish king. So there is a reason why it looks the way it does. Now on the inside, I'm very happy to report that it feels like an S-Class in here. It is, the seats are amazing, these pillowy headrests. There's good room in the back seat. There's great light coming in from this panoramic roof. Visibility's nice. Again, seats super comfortable. It is an S-Class experience. And then it's pushed up a bit different than the S-Class, which has new tech for its displays, where that has 3D visuals for the gauges. This doesn't have that, but what this has is the hyperscreen, and this is crazy. When I first saw it in pictures and read about it, I was like, that's absolutely absurd, absolutely ridiculous. But I gotta tell you, in practice, it's pretty great. It works really well. It looks really nice. So what it is it's essentially 3 screens that come together to form 56 inches of digital display space. It's wild. It looks nice. It works fast. It just works really well. It's a Mercedes. It has to work really well. Backing it all up is an 8-core processor and 24 gigs of RAM. So it's always humming along nice and smooth. You know, connects to CarPlay quickly, does all the stuff you'd want it to do. There's a screen for the passenger too, where they can control some stuff. I think they can even pair their phone and then headphones if they wanted to listen to their own music or a podcast or something, which is kind of cool. But the meat of what makes the EQS really interesting is its powertrain. Now the EQS 450 Plus, both EQSs, not talking about the AMG version, both Mercedes-Benz EQS models use a 107.8 kilowatt hour battery pack. The EQS 450 Plus is a rear motor, so rear wheel drive version, making 329 horsepower and a bit over 400 pound-feet of torque. It's pretty good, and the EPA estimated range is 350 miles, but people seem to, like the tests I'm reading about this, because I was curious about what other folks are getting on the range, people are easily hitting 400 in these. Like, it's not difficult to hit 400. So it's very conservative on its EPA range certification. On the more powerful EQS 580, you get a second motor up front, so it becomes a 4MATIC all-wheel drive version, but now you're dealing with 516 horsepower and well over 600 pound-feet of torque. That one feels far more substantial in the power department. That's the one if I were telling you which EQS to buy, that's the one I would say to get. However, this one moves nice and quickly. It is not a rocket ship. It is not boringly slow either. It's not like this thing has a low curb weight, but still, over 400 pound-feet of torque is a wonderful amount of thrust to get off the line. Just well into the 600s is much more fun. But I feel like you could drift this one if you turn traction control off. In fact, if you really hammer it coming out of a stop into a corner, you can feel that it wants to go, and then traction control is like, no, sir, this is an S-Class, or electrified pseudo S-Class. So the drive, it's very quiet inside. It's very smooth on the road. The suspension is excellent. The steering has just enough heft where it's not mindless with, what's going on with the steering wheel, but it's also appropriately light when it needs to be. This one is fitted with the rear steering system. It's optional. And the neat thing is the hardware to have it is installed already on all the models, whether you get it or not. So if you decide you want it later on down the road, it's an over-the-air update to basically unlock that feature. And I will tell you that the turning circle on this is incredible. It drops it down to like, I forget the number, but it turns on a dime once you're moving slowly. So with the rear steering, at slow speeds, the wheels turn opposite. At higher speeds, they turn in line a little bit to make easier lane changes and all that stuff. But like in parking lot maneuvering, or just if you have to turn around, you don't need a 3-point turn. You just nail that circle. So we're going to talk about price. And I want to say that it is not an inexpensive vehicle. However, it is far less... light in there. It is far less expensive than I would have guessed. So the base price of the 450 Plus is about 102, 103. I think the base price on the 580 is around 112, 116, maybe 112, or yeah, something like that. And then the 580 I was testing earlier in the week, stickered for 133. This one is 116. Options push things to a bit. But so let's just take the 580 I drove with the fully augmented reality head-up display, the nicer wheels and tires, and a really slick matte silver paint job. Car looked awesome. 133. I was shocked that car was under 150. And it was well under 150. And the reason I say that is because people are paying nearly 150 for Tesla Model S Plaid versions. Those start around 134 before any taxes and incentives, or rebates and incentives. And if you add a few options, you're at around 148. So the EQS 580 with some options at 133 is kind of amazing to me, because it's an electric S-Class. If you're cross-shopping the Model S Plaid, which granted has amazing range and insane off-the-line quickness, and that's it. It's not like either one of them are winning exterior styling awards. Inside, I mean, if you try to compare the two, it's a joke. I don't even know. You've literally never sat in an actual luxury vehicle if you think a Tesla, any Tesla, is luxurious inside. They're simplistic, they're Spartan, to the point. That's what they want to be, and that's fine too. But it is not a luxury vehicle in any sense of the word. Whereas this is an S-Class essentially inside, and it is comfortable, it is quiet. I'm driving on a very rough graded road, which is in the middle of being repaired, and the ride is still nice and cozy. Everything works really well. Obviously, the build quality is some of the best in the world because it's Mercedes-Benz. They've been making cars for well over 100 years. They kind of have a good idea how to do it, and it's no exception here on the EQS. If you are cross-shopping an EQS and a Model S, and you pick the Model S, yes, you have a better charging infrastructure as well. So I will give you that point, absolutely. However, that is rapidly changing. I've driven cross-country in a non-Tesla vehicle, and this was pre-COVID, where the EA network wasn't even as robust as it is now. And then if you can afford an EQS, you have a garage, most likely, and you have a charger at home. And to charge at home, you can do speeds up to 200 kilowatts. if you do DC fast charging. So it'll go from 10 to 100% in 31 minutes, I believe is the quoted time. And if you're charging at home on like a 240 volt, it's 11 and a quarter hours to go from 10 to 100%, which is not great for at-home charging, but you're doing it at home, and the range is stellar anyways. I have just over half a tank in this, and I still have 240 miles. So it's, a little over half a tank, to be totally fair. The range is excellent. The interior is amazing. The 580 powertrain is fun. The price is better than I thought. It all adds up to just a truly wonderful electric vehicle. If you're shopping in this space and you don't even consider it, you're insane. And now I cannot add the Lucid Air into the conversation because I haven't driven it, I haven't experienced it. All signs point to that it's a pretty awesome vehicle in and of itself as well. But man, this EQS, I was hoping it would be good, and it delivers. This thing is awesome. What do you think?
Awesome.
That's it? One word review? Awesome? Are you just going to copy what your dad says?
You just gotta copy what Dad said.
Don't talk like a baby. All right. Tell everybody like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Thanks.